You don't know? Okay.
leaning towards making an investment.
Okay, we're ready to start. Ready to start. Trina, roll call?
Mayor Parker?
Here.
Mr. Jacobs?
Here.
Mr. Streckel?
Here.
Mr. Deep?
Here.
Mr. Zutnick?
Here.
Ms. Patrick?
Here.
And Ms. Frenchco.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Bedminster Township Land Use Board is filed with the Township Clerk and sent to the Burnersville News and the Courier News and to all subscribers and posted in the Township Municipal Building, 1 Miller Lane, Bedminster, New Jersey, on January 12, 2018.
Please stand. Flag
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's been a long time since I've seen everybody, so welcome back.
It's still summer though, right? It's like,
Yeah, it went fast. Always does. We have minutes from July 12th. That was our last meeting.
I propose we accept the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Want to note that Rich has come in? We do have a piece of correspondence from Pam Jennis, and I thought that maybe that would be appropriate for our committee, in our master plan committee. I think that's where that would be, unless anybody has any particular comments, had a chance to read it, and particular comments on it. But we'll look at that time.
okay,
Mr. Mayor?
all right.
Okay. We need a determination of completeness for Fiddler's Elbow. Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Welcome.
Yes, Paul Farrar has written a September 7th, 2018 letter that contains completeness. There are 5 items on it. First one, there's about 24 or so items that the applicant has requested a waiver because the information has been provided on prior applications. Township engineer is okay with that waiver. Checklist item 8 is a certification of improvements being installed or a bond being posted. It's really not applicable to this proposal, so they've been okay with that waiver. Item 3, comment 3, checklist item 9 is project of regional significance. I'm not sure if that is a waivable item, but notice is required for Reddington Township. Checklist item 56 deals with the existing roads. There's no changes to that, so he's okay with the waiver there. And the last one, item 64, environmental scoping requirements, and considering this is infill development in existing impervious, there's no objection to a waiver. So subject to granting those waivers, it's Township Engineer's recommendation that the application be deemed complete.
Okay, thank you.
I'd recommend that the board consider a motion to waive the remaining items for completeness and deem the application complete.
Okay, we hear a motion?
So moved, seconded.
Mayor
Trina?
Parker?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Streckel?
Aye.
Mr. Deep?
Aye.
Mr. Zutnick?
Aye.
Mr. Travelino?
Aye.
Ms. Patrick?
Aye.
And Ms. Frenchco.
Aye. Motion approved. Okay, we skipped over, I don't know if there's anyone in the public that has anything that they would like to talk about that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing nothing, we'll move on to our hearing.
Good evening. For the record, Tom Alman, Dave Pitney on behalf of the applicant, Ron Kennedy to my right. This is an application for the Fiddler's Elbow Golf Club for what I would call a modest addition to their kitchen, about 3,400 square feet in round numbers. Mr. Kennedy will give you the details on that. We have a report from Mr. Farrell we will address during our presentation. The issue in the case for the board basically is that the ordinance limits the size of the clubhouse. As you're aware, the applicant's been here many times before regarding the clubhouse additions to it, as well as to improvements on the property. This application requires further relief because we're exceeding the maximum size of the clubhouse in your ordinance. Unless you have questions of me, I'll call Mr. Kennedy and we'll run through it for you.
I think he needs to be.
Mr. Kennedy, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
And please state your name and address.
Certainly, Ronald Kennedy, 265 Main Street in Gladstone.
And we'll just confirm for the record that the board recognizes and accepts Mr. Kennedy's qualifications as a professional engineer. And Ron, anything else tonight?
We'll be doing some planning because we need a variance.
Professional planner.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Ron, before you got into your presentation, would you just, for the benefit of those who may not have been here on other applications, just give us a quick overview, not detailed, but just an overview as to...
I did do that.
Okay.
I prepared a couple of just basic slides that I wanted to go through.
Good.
I
Okay.
marked some exhibits, but I'll go through and describe each one of those, starting at the big picture route, and then we'll get into the small area that we're talking about.
Perfect.
So to that end,
Yeah, let's just clarify the marking on the exhibit, Ron.
okay, so A1 with today's date is just aerial exhibit. The date of the exhibit is today, September 13, 2018. And just a quick point of reference, obviously Route 78, Rattlesnake Ridge Road, all right, where the west side of the property that is highlighted here is the Lamington River. It's about 118 acres in Bedminster. The total in Bedminster and Reddington is 540 acres. Just a big picture. Part of the carve-out on River Road and Rattlesnake Ridge Road, there was a subdivision that we came to you for that approval because this lot was originally only around the clubhouse. And the rest of the golf course was on a separate lot that had Chubb owned. And the carve-out was, I forget the acres, but I'm going to say somewhere in the 50 acres, 40 acres. That was sold off to a combined open space purchase that Bedminster participated, Somerset County, and I believe the state. That was the perimeter of the property that was off to an open space acquisition. And the remainder 18 acres was now combined to one lot that Fiddler's owned. The driveway, the only access into the property from Bedminster is on Rattlesnake Ridge Road, comes into the driveway, and in the center, generally of the lot, is the clubhouse. When we expanded the parking lot, we put in, and I'm going to go to another slide that just zooms in a little closer of those improvements, but around the perimeter is the golf holes that are on the Bedminster side. Number of golf holes, 12, 14, 9? Just 9 golf holes. The rest of the 54 golf holes total on the property are in Reddington. 9 are only in Bedminster Township. So zooming in, are the general improvements, not the non-golf.
Let's just mark this, Ron. This is A2.
A2, core area, proposed site point, September 13, 2018. Up in the upper right is the entrance off of Rattlesnake Ridge Road, just by Route 78. We built a new guardhouse that's there. And then as you come in the driveway, there is 4 golf cottages that were proposed, not built. And I do have an exhibit, what's built and not built. So I'm going to show you what you approve, and then you'll see what's built versus not built. And you come in, and anyone that's been into there, the main entry drop-off to the clubhouse. Clubhouse is here in that brown shade. Reconfigured the total parking lot that was there. It was just one big open sea before. Parking lot, we have islands, we have lighting, landscaping, those elements. On the other side of the parking lot, there's a pool complex, pool house, clubhouse that was there, a series of tennis courts. There was all the typical improvements around a club setting for a pool enclosure, and I'll go through some of those when you zoom in a little farther. A large driving range that was built more towards Rattlesnake Ridge Road, a golf cart storage building, what was a temporary fitness center. We had one that was approved originally in a tennis center that wasn't built. We came to you, I believe, in 2016 for the building that was right next to the golf cart storage and had a temporary a fitness area. And then the pro shop and, again, all the area around the clubhouse. Zoom in a little farther. Before I do that.
You want to show what's built and what's not built.
So A,
A3.
is remaining improvements to be constructed. So generally the same scale as Exhibit A2, and these are the non-improvements. 4 cottages in this location. There was 2 cottages just off the tennis courts. 1 tennis court hasn't been built. The tennis pro shop and other improvements weren't built. Some additional parking right here, that area was not built. Around the pool complex, there was a family area with cabanas and elements that were not built yet, approved but not built. And then around the clubhouse itself, there was always an intent to add on to the kitchen. We didn't define what that was. So there was some square footage, not the square footage we're asking for. It's more than that, around there, about 1,000 or 1,200 square foot. And then we had a porte-cochere and an expansion of the entry that we talked and got approval to add on. They haven't been built yet. Actually, the club's not even sure it's going to build the porte-cochere. We still have that approval. They're just not sure that's the right look for what they want right now, but that's still approved. It has not been built yet. All the other improvements that I spoke about have been built on the property. So first, of tonight's application on A4.
That's the blow up of, whoa, you overloaded it.
Too many exhibits.
So A4 is the blow up of the clubhouse area, is that fair to say?
It is.
Okay.
And it's titled Enlarged Site Plan Rendering. That's the title with today's date on it. So again, this exhibit just blows up on primarily the clubhouse and the front entry feature. Front entry is where I'm pointing to right now. Main part of the clubhouse, the ballroom that everyone that's been in the place would know is right in this location. Current kitchen is right behind the ballroom. And then this orange area is actually the kitchen expansion. If anyone that's been back in that area at all knows that there was a couple of standalone shed buildings that were behind the kitchen that was there. There was an old area that was the golf cart storage, and then next to that there was this bakery that was like 800 square foot. That building, that little bakery, is still there. Right? And there was always an intent to add on to the kitchen, but they wanted to get everything else figured out first before they would do that. The kitchen expanded a little larger than what we got approved, and the total kitchen area is now 3,248 square foot. So we're increasing the square footage, 3,248 between the building wings. So the experience from driving in or even the parking lot is heavily landscaped, and it's hidden behind. From 1 story high, where the space around it is 2 stories in height, so it sits down relatively low. The loading dock is right here. It's not even a dock, but the loading area, it's not going to change. The dumpster area is not going to change. Everything's still the same. The screen around there is hidden with a large berm and landscaping, so the guests, the members don't see it. Not going to change. This is still hidden, I'll say, behind what is already built today. So it's nothing new that's going to protrude out. And the layout is for, obviously, the bakery will be inside, you're not going to stand on the building now, freezers, all the other elements that they need to operate a facility. So that's the genesis of what they're trying to accomplish there. 1 story, pretty simple. If you see the architectural plans, it's a nice scheme. It'll be a brick or a block, stone block that's similar to the other stone and stucco on the building that's there. So they're still making it look attractive, but it's truly, they're in it full, but it is the back of the house, you know, that's there, and it's hidden in
It certainly improves the appearance over what's there today.
It does.
Dramatic.
You go out there now, it's pretty unattractive. This will make it much more attractive. And for the club's use, still adequate area to stage, to have its dumpsters, to have all the other elements that they need to operate the facility.
Why don't we touch on a couple of things? Just touch on the variance that we need, and then we'll talk about Mr. Ferro's report. He has 3 or 4 comments he wanted us to address.
Again, so by virtue of this and this proposal for the expansion of the kitchen, there's 2 aspects that were inconsistent for, I'll say, an expansion of what we got relief for the original time. One is in the form of a variance, and the other is in the form of a design waiver. The variance component is in your ordinances for golf courses. You put a statement in there that the maximum size of building is 30,000 square foot. Okay. This building, by virtue of its history and the expansions that we got approved that are on there, there's 63,637 is approved today.
And that's what exists.
Well, with
Oh.
the portico share
Right.
and the other elements that haven't been built, but yes, that's the approved. The majority of it, maybe 1,000 square foot's not, but the majority of it is built. The proposed would be then 66,885, with that additional square footage that we talked about earlier of 3,200 square foot. So because it is exceeding what we have approved already, we have to ask for that variance and continue to ask for that relief. But the reasoning that we talked about in 2012 with this board, that it is a building unique in its sense that it's up against the river, it has not the ability to put multiple buildings across there because of environmental constraints. The scale of that building doesn't look large because there's two-story elements, one-story element. When you drive in, all you see is an old estate. You don't see the other components that are bright and white and loud, like I'll say the back of the clubhouse. That's all hidden from behind. So guests, certainly from the public road system, you don't see any of it. The guests when they arrive, members when they arrive, you see a series by the roof lines of a small building, not this large 60,000 square foot building. So your intent when you passed your ordinances for golf courses was you didn't want these large buildings sitting in spaces. In this case, we took the old mansion that was originally there, the Mosley Mansion, a series of additions were put onto the golf club. We got approval from your board in 2012 to add more onto that, but it's been incorporated into that. And anyone that's been there in the last year or two since those improvements are done, I think that's really carried out, that it sits well in the setting. It doesn't overwhelm the space and the environment that's in. Clearly, from a public perspective, you see it from the road. You really don't see it from 78, and clearly on Rattlesnake Bridge Road, it's not something that you see.
And you mentioned the waiver, that's a similar issue, correct, Mr.
It's
Kennedy?
the same thing, and that's all that does is ties to the square footage because of the environmental constraints reduction. So again, the maximum non-residential floor area would be allowed 83,149, and this would expand to 125,609.
And currently it's,
Currently 122,361.
so it's the same roughly 3,000 square foot
And
increase.
the one to note on this is the density, your FAR, which is your main factor, we're still below that. 3% out in the zone, we're at 2 point, I forget the number, but we're still below your mean density. Your FAR, which is your main governing density calculation, that's there. And this proposal, we're not adding any new impervious coverage. We're literally putting the building over what is now a parking lot, or a parking area, it's not a lot, but the parking area in there. So we're not adding impervious coverage. There's no change to that. And from the floor area ratio density, we're still consistent with your zoning and your measure.
Let's turn to Mr. Farrow's report. It's dated September the 7th. And if you can turn to page 2 of that report under plan review, there are a couple of questions he's posed to us.
You know, all the prior conditional approvals, all those conditions can still be met going forward. We're not asking for any change in those. The existing conditions, I show that in exhibit of what's built versus what's not built. Existing stalls to be removed as a result of the project. There's not any parking stalls that are going to be removed. I don't know if Paul saw it from the aerials or he went out there, is they have some parking stripes in this area for golf carts, because they were lining up golf carts for that. So they didn't have the golf cart parked in all different ways, but they're not vehicles. So we're not asking for any relief or any less parking than we have today. But they're striping out there, he may have seen that in an aerial, but it is around for golf carts as opposed to any vehicles. Access to the dumpster areas, he was concerned about that. It's not changing. The
Why don't you point to that?
physical location of the dumpster and the recycling is right here, the compactor actually. We're physically not changing it. It works, and again, the notion here is we're trying to keep everything, because it's a fishbowl, really tight and compact. Is it ideal? No, but it works because the more spread out, they're going to consume space. So there's landscaping around it, it's tight to that area, but it works for those haulers, and there's really going to be no change by this approval that we're going to generate more garbage because of this. So it's working for the owners right now. It's certainly nothing exterior that the public can see or anything else associated with that.
I thought the concern was the truck getting into picking up the trash.
It's the same as it is now.
It's
There's
the
no
same.
change. So,
Yeah.
again, if it was a warehouse or a larger corporate office, you're gonna want something a little smoother than that, but it's tight. But the dumpster gets every day, every
it's
day.
tight all the
It's
time.
working, the hauler's working, so it's working. Is it ideal? No, you'd like to have larger areas, but we want to keep this compact. And it's not causing all of a sudden them to take some of their waste and put it out in the parking lot or put it in other areas. Obviously, they have the high standards aesthetically that they have to keep for their members.
But, Ron, on that point, so what's the rationale for the expansion of the kitchen itself?
Two things. One is that finally getting rid of the bakery outside in a separate little shed structure that's about 1,000 square foot. That's the first thing, to get that inside. And two is, they knew they were always late on areas of their, two things. Their freezers and cooler space, they just don't have enough, that they knew they had to do something, but they wanted to figure out the master plan of things. And they also, I'm gonna say what was the right word? The kitchen line, where they put everything together, this rearranges it because it's a more boxier space now, that they can become more efficient in how they do it.
So it's not necessarily, excuse me, it's not necessarily going to change the amount of food or the amount of waste that's being generated, such that, to Nick's point, would they need an additional dumpster to accommodate the waste generation?
No, I mean, the number of meals served won't change. Truly, the number of seats there don't change by virtue of this application. What it does is, it makes it more efficient, okay? Two is, it makes for the line service. And two, there's more storage for freezer and cooler space. And in that sense, less trips. because
And
less trucks
are
come
you
in.
sacrificing any of the existing kitchen, or is any of the existing kitchen being converted to other
Fully
uses?
modeled. So again, the kitchen space that's there today is incorporated into this design.
But I guess the base question is, you're not anticipating any more meals being served or waste generation that's going to
No,
have ramifications down the line?
really don't, no. And it truly is making it more efficient.
When you say more efficient, you mean in terms of from time to order to time to get it out?
Yeah, and again, I can't say I'm an expert at this, but we've been around enough of these designs that we're working on in these either hotels or resorts or golf courses, that it's all about trying to make it safe and efficient on how to do things. So that the staff's not running all over that space, there's a more rhythm of line to make that more efficient, and they're not moving around to serve a plate.
So this is the same kitchen that also, my recollection is that there's a patio facing the river, or facing the...
It's an L shape.
Right.
That area here, it'll service that, right? And it'll service the whole campus, but it'll also service the ballroom. There's a small kitchen that we got approved on the north end of the building that just services that smaller member area. But I'll say that's more of what you call a dish-up kitchen, where it's final prep. Most of the prep is still occurring back in this space. That it's, warm things up, serve things on the plate as opposed to start from scratch type of things.
I'm not that familiar with the existing bakery you say you're going to bring into there. Where is that now? And what will be done with that space?
It's literally right in the building.
In the building?
In the new building.
Today, if I went out there, it's
Right.
dead.
Okay.
Right. But it's consumed, it's in the orange here. So it's right in that space.
Okay.
I think, just back to Mr. Furrow's report number 5. Ron, you want to touch on that?
Removal of freezers. Oh, that's a good question. We talked about this, but we show this on the exhibit. They're likely out in the parking lot during the winter time in staging. When they're renovating this, they will likely have a couple of trailers that will be out here that would be refrigerated, that they would put out to there. Paul asked that question. So their stage is their biggest time that they have to serve is from the holidays to the start of the golf season, is when there's crunch time that they really can't shut everything else down, okay, and start up again. So they have a window And the expectation, if you're approving this tonight, is hopefully tomorrow, they're going to be filing for building permits so they can get that ready to go. Do pre-work in the season now, that window from after the holidays to the start of the golf season, they got to get most of this work done. So they're going to be throwing a lot of stuff around pretty quick. So a couple of those trailers for refrigeration while they're putting new ones in, we can go out to the parking lot.
I think the only other comment you may have addressed, it's under item B2 in the report, it's the very bottom of page 2. How it relates to the existing uses in the building, I guess you've covered that.
Yeah, let's talk about it in general terms.
Any other questions? That's all we have.
Board? Frank, please.
Ron, will the proposed addition end up with sprinklers?
Yes.
And the hodgepodge of stuff that's outside today was probably less safe on the property than what you're going to have when you're done?
Yeah, I mean, again, safety for the employees, aesthetics, health-wise, it's all one side.
And as you said, the massing of the building already surrounds the space, so it's not as though it's an extension off the building, it's infill.
Correct. A member that's probably been there for 20 years after this is done wouldn't know the addition was done. You know, and the one that's truly familiar with that, because it's behind the curtains.
Right. I don't know, I think it looks great, actually.
Yeah, I think.
We have to have building out around the interchange, kind of building.
Anything else from the board?
They're adding more space. Are they adding more staff in the service areas?
No, it's just
So this isn't in response to additional members or additional demand, et cetera, it's just efficiency there.
Correct. And when we made the application in 2012, we spoke about this, but at the time, in putting all the other components together, they said, we just can't deal with this kitchen because we don't know exactly how it's going to behave yet, besides the cash flow issue of spending the money in the other areas. So they built it. Now this is the last component around this, that now that they have those other new operations that are going on here, besides the ballroom, they really know the flow and how it works and how to make it more efficient. So this is the last thing now that they can continue to make it work better. And if you've been back in any of that kitchen space at all, they have to go downstairs to this little small old staircase that was built when the original mansion was built to go get product down there. They're running up and downstairs. Now it's one level. It just, there's so many things that make it more efficient with that. And I don't know if it's reduction staff, but the intent is, because they have a lot of running around to different spaces, the intent is to keep the same staff and just make it more efficient.
So when they're bringing food out to the pool area, et cetera, it's all in this location?
There is a small kitchen in the food prep area. So if I'm having, I'll say, a hot dog or a hamburger out there, there's a grill inside that space in the pool building that they're going to actually cook that there. But the storage of the food itself would be over here, or any prep they're making, soup, stocks, or anything else, still all prepped here, and then it's brought here, and then the final before it goes out.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Yeah, go
There
ahead.
was a mention of a second floor that there's places or something.
Well,
I didn't understand that part.
we submitted an application about 2 months ago or 3 months ago. In that, we had a second floor on it, okay? Where we looked at, and the notion there was move some of the office space up there. For a number of reasons, it didn't work. Okay? Not only cost, but there was other code issues and how to vent the fire exhaust systems through that second floor. It became all types of
Oh,
complications.
this would have been on top of it.
It would have been top of the
Correct.
kitchen. So it just became like, so everyone started, as the other designers, not us, but mechanical engineers, fire protection engineers, and it's like, stop. So we amended the application to you to make it one level as opposed to two, because it just started getting cumbersome to make it work for us.
Okay, anybody else? No? Everybody? I guess we're ready, Tom. Oh, we have to ask we have
Open to the
public.
non-public.
We have the non-public. Do we have to ask if there's any questions from the public?
Or comments.
And I see nothing. So, I guess we're,
If the board would
We're
entertain,
prepared,
it sounds
Tom?
like, Tom or Ron, did you have anything further to add at all?
Just if the board sees fit to approve this, timing is critical to us. And we wonder if we could begin the process for building permits before the resolution is adopted, which I suspect will be sometime next month. So if the board could give us that latitude, that'd be terrific.
So you waive your right to receive the written resolution before you're proceeding.
That's correct.
So the board would entertain it, a motion to approve the amended preliminary and final site plan related variance and waiver as described this evening by Mr. Kennedy and as set forth in the plans, subject to the conditions, the standard conditions, and to Paul's report and Frank's report, and would be effective this evening, provided they comply with all other requirements, which we deal with administratively. Okay? Is there such a motion?
We need a
Motion to
motion?
approve?
Seconded.
Okay.
Mr.
Trina?
Parker?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Strappa?
Aye.
Mr. D?
Aye.
Mr. Sepich?
Aye.
Mr. Travelino?
Aye.
Ms. Patrice?
Aye.
And Ms. Frenchco.
Aye.
Great, thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Trina's happy, Ron. Well, she's never really happy. Yes, I mean in terms of time, it should be shorter.
That's not helping.
All right, do we have any board comments? Anything new?
I will just say, I apologize for not being able to, for canceling out the subcommittee meeting last week, but it sounds like the 20th will work.
Good.
For those members that are here for the subcommittee, I'd just like to catch you at the very end. I do have a read ahead.
Okay,
So
good.
that when we get together next time, we'll already kind of have an idea what might
We want to
be
talk about?
fodder for discussion.
Good.
You guys are meeting on the 20th?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes, we are.
When I talked to
Meeting
him
here?
today, that was something he asked me, so I told him.
Hang on.
Yeah, let's say yes.
On that
Yeah.
particular subject,
Yeah.
hang on a
7
second.
o'clock
Uh-oh.
is fine.
Yeah, I have a problem on the 20th.
You do?
I know we said initially that I could do that. I managed to settle a case today where I have to talk to the governing body on Monday and complete close the deal. And the judge asked me if I can go to that meeting. So I have lots of other dates I can offer right now, if we can make that arrangement while we're all sitting here. Right, I think everybody's here that's on the,
Well, George is not.
Except George, but I told him I'd send an email and let him know.
Okay.
I can do the 18th. I mean, we don't have to bump it way out there if you want to.
You said you can't make the 20th? That's a Thursday.
Oh, because I agreed that I would go to Millburn
Oh, I'm
to
just-
meet with the
yeah, okay.
township count.
Okay, I just misunderstood. Okay.
I can do the 18th.
So the 18th is a Tuesday,
Tuesday.
and I think,
Next Tuesday. Yeah, does that work for you, Rick?
wait a minute, let me just check. I just have to check one of
My
the,
cell phone in my car. I think I can do it.
I think, yeah. Let me just check. I think
Here, right?
so.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe one of the other rooms, but yeah.
Um,
Meeting at 7.
7 works for me.
7 works, yeah. All right, okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry for the confusion. I realized
Yeah,
we
I
spent
know,
some
it's hard
time trying to work that
everybody's
out.
schedule, it's difficult, it's hard, so. Okay, so see
You
if
have to bring
George
the beer,
is,
though.
George can do
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
No? Larry, anything? No? No? Well, then I think we're okay. We do have another application, I think. Trina, you want to
Yes,
talk?
we just got a new application, it's not on the agenda yet, but it's a board adjustment application. Paul would like to put it on for the 4th. It's actually Tom Melman's firm again, and they have said that the 4th is good for them.
Okay.
Board of Adjustment that Steve and I can hear, or Board of Adjustment that we cannot hear?
I don't know. It's Winners, yeah.
House, I know it has setback.
Oh, wait, here.
Paul hasn't reviewed it, he's looking.
Yeah, it just came in.
Just came in. We'll update it.
It's quite a large house.
Yes. Is it really big area, so I shouldn't say I know for sure.
How big?
It says C2 out
Over
on the
30,000
application.
Oh, that's a big house.
That's a big house.
Over 40 acres though.
Is that Frank? Were you building?
That's the deal he's striking on the track.
You're going way in the wrong direction.
We're building castles. Yeah.
It's a lawn to mow, too.
Yeah, really.
Did they give you a mule with that?
Yeah, right.
40 acres, and because it's so big, it doesn't meet the setbacks.
Everything I'm trying to get rid of.
It's so wide.
That's big.
Okay, so right now, we're set for the 4th,
Yes.
and we do not have anything for the 11th.
Correct.
Correct. So unless there's some change in,
Unless something comes up, yeah, then.
then we'll have to move it from the 4th to the 11th, and, okay. So right now, we're off on the 11th. Enjoy your vacation.
So the only thing for the 4th is this Bedminster 2 thing?
No.
No, it's a new application that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it literally just came in, Paul hasn't even looked at it yet.
Okay.
So October 11th meeting is off unless we have to move something from the 4th to the 11th.
Right, exactly.
I want to ask again, can we ever get rid of this Bedminster only?
What do you say about that, Tom?
I'd rather you let the applicant, Trini should ask the applicant if they have any plans to proceed and when, and if not, do they want to withdraw without prejudice? They can always come back in.
That's Mr. Baumann as well.
So you'll be talking with Mr. Melman, and you can just ask for an update in writing, and will they consider it as withdrawing without prejudice? Just say that.
Yeah, it's been in over a year now.
I mean,
Way
it's
over.
just all over again.
It would have to get renoticed.
Yeah, it would have to.
But it does, technically, they might they
Yeah.
might be trying to keep it alive because there were people interested in it, and they started the case, so we'll see what they say, see what Mr. Mountain says.
Very good.
Okay, I think we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion adjourned.
Okay.
We did a reverse.
Motion that always succeeds. As long as there's a vote.
Never had an objector.
Okay.